So here are the very simple steps that make a big difference that you could take back hopefully to your business right away. Number one is if I want to figure out if I'm going to go to Red Robin, I'd better have a very clear idea if I'm the marketing team of Red Robin that when somebody says, I want you to go to Red Robin, I had the best experience, it's because of X, Y, and Z. And if I haven't agreed with my leadership and my management team about how do I want to be recommended, chances are it will happen in a different way. We talk about this with our clients as building a shareable story. And so for whatever operation or business you're in, have an agreement and come to a decision of working out how do you want people to talk about you. You can sit down and argue business strategy incessantly with people. If it really boils down and says, if our customers or our consumers are going to tell others to come, and because we are in the top industry where recommendations are driving, how do we want to get recommended? And how do I give them the products, the services, the experiences that back that experience up every single day that I help them do that? Okay? Number two, this is probably in marketing circles one of the most overused, rot, horrible things of live your brand because it sounds empty. But I'm going to tell you there's a reality to it. And so if my operation is going to be known for delivering great customer service or having new experiences, then it has to end up being, or nobody's going to leave unsatisfied, then it better be really, really great. I was in New York, I guess it was about 2 months ago, and was with a client from a large CPG client. And we had gone out to a very, very nice dinner. She is a wonderful, loves food. Every time we get together, she wants to try a new restaurant. She was all excited to take me to a new restaurant in New York that she wanted to go to. And they marveled. It was a wonderful experience all the way along in this restaurant. But when we got to the end, I was a little surprised that she said to the waiter when he said, has everything been great? And she goes, you know, everything was great, but I got to tell you, I did not like that dessert at all. And dessert was okay, but she made a point of it. Next thing I know, we were walked back to the kitchen and given a cooking demonstration, and we were given a frozen Manhattan that they made in front of us, and then they brought us over and we had another small experience. And that little bit of negativity, and I don't know if they knew she was a senior person in a marketing function, or this is just what they did. But they delighted us with this great experience. And that little bit of negativity that she had all of a sudden got turned into this extraordinary element. And I went back and I looked at reviews on this thing, and they said this place just works to delight you, surprise you with all the way through. And one element was not there, and they lived their brand by bringing it back around. And here I am telling you the story about it right now. Okay? The interesting thing about what's happening in this world of marketing and communications today, and it wasn't that long ago that the way that we were taught to market was you have got to interrupt people to get them to pay attention. Because they are seeing 30,000 different commercial messages a day, and yours has to break through in order to get there. The challenge is, what really matters today is that you develop a sense of personality and you start living that and bringing it out. I would argue that this form of marketing is a lot more difficult than simply saying, I'm going to put up an ad and then show it and get people to respond to it, because the human element comes into it. And I've got to actually say, wait a minute, I actually have to figure out how to engage with you. I've got to talk to my consumers. When they tell me something they don't like, I have to decide, are they just out for a freebie or do they really matter? Well, actually, you can tell, by the way, and you can track how influential somebody is and decide how excited or unexcited to get if you get either a positive or a negative review. But this idea of if you make a mistake in a customer service business, having a protocol in place for how you are going to manage it becomes absolutely essential. Bless you. We do all the work for supercuts, haircutting. And you'll never believe this, but sometimes they give a bad haircut. And people love talking and oftentimes showing their bad haircuts. They'll put it up on Twitter or whatever the case is. And what we do is our team is not only sending out the proactive messages, but if somebody complains that they've had a bad haircut, it's supercuts, we'll actually respond usually within a few hours and let them know, by the way, there's a 7-day guarantee period. Come on back, and we're going to make sure that we actually fix what you don't like and make sure that you're satisfied for the next time around. Amazingly, 90% of the people that do that come back and say, my goodness, let me tell you what a great experience they gave me and they did for me, okay? The concept of, if I'm sharing through my channels, we talk about it as the 90-10 rule. Because if you're at a party and somebody's just talking about themselves for the full hour you're there, you are going to be bored and you're going to shut down or you're going to walk away. Same thing through all of your social channels. You talk about yourself 10% of the time, but you engage people on things that are interesting to them on the other 9%. What you just heard the chef here talking about, which I thought was extraordinary about his book, is he was captivating everybody in this room about things that had to do with Vietnamese cooking and how it's made. And I know he's really good because very few people know how wonderful El Tesoro tequila is, and I saw a number of people write that down when he mentioned it. And so he's talking and giving you experiences and things to share that are of interest to everybody in this room. That's what has to happen through all the social channels that we're using as well. It's not about us pushing out our commercial messages. It's engaging people around what we know about how we want them to talk about us. And finally, this idea of constantly evolving and evaluating. And if you see something that is working extraordinarily well in your operation, continue doing it and bringing it up more. And if there's something that needs to be fixed, you can do that right away. Oh, there's too much noise that are coming through people cutting their meat in the movie theater dining room. Well, let's get rid of things that people have to cut their food on because we've learned that and we've heard it. All sorts of developments over time that allows us to change and to learn without doing outrageously expensive research. What we are seeing, and again back to hopefully takeaways that I'll leave you with, is come back to your organizations, think about your marketing, think about your menu development, ask the question, how do I want people talking about this? How do I want them recommending it? And how do I make sure that all of the different elements of my communications are based on making sure that recommendations end up being at the core? And when you have that right, you will have really great success at all these things in a category that is overwhelmingly driven by recommendations.